Hi, the intention of this is to show the new editing facilities within Cartigo. What I have on the screen are some points, polygons, trees, and fences and so forth, and I'm going to now edit them. Now, what I do is I go to Edit Item. I'll start with the simplest option, which is a point object. So let's say I want to take this tree there. So I'll click on the tree. There's the tree record, and there's a new button now down in the lower left corner, which is the graphics button. Now if I press that, what I see is all of the points that are in that on the plan at the moment, and obviously my tree is the red circle. I can see it highlighted there, and all I want to do is to move the tree to the point next to it. See, it's moved there as well. Now click OK, and both points are there. The tree is underneath the pin, but you can see that it has actually moved. Okay, that is a simple case, just moving a point object. But now let's go a little more extreme. Let's say I want to edit this fence down here. Now that's a polyline object, so if I go Edit, there's my fence. I click on the same button. Now I see all of my points and my fence. Now I've got several options now. Obviously more buttons have appeared. My highlighted point is the point there, but if I click next, it'll highlight the line. Point, line, and I can skip backwards and forwards through the list. Now if I get to a point and I decide, let's go back to this one here. So let's say that point there, and let's say I don't like that point. It's not correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of it. So just click minus, and notice how it's moved. I can also, let's say I want to add a point into my polyline. Now you can add, when it's on a line, I can add a point to the line. So for example, I can say plus, and I'll add that point there. And that's now diverted. Now when you've selected a point, you can't obviously add a point to a point, except on the end. So for example, if I go to the end, it could be either the beginning or the end, I can now add a point on the end. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're skipping your way through points and lines, and you can add and delete things on the way. You can also move, for example here, if I zoom in a little closer, I can also select a point that way, or I can select a line by pressing this button and then pressing the line. So this point is now selected. I can move its results to the one next to it, and then so basically I could do any sorts of edits that I want there. Now once that's done, you see it's moved my fence. That's great. Now let's edit the polygons. Now here we have 3 polygons, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the middle one, and I'll go there. Again, I have my edit button. Now I've got several options here. I'll make that a little bigger. Okay, so now first thing I want to do is I want to actually go and select that line there. Okay, now notice how the 2 polygons don't quite line up correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that point into that polygon. And now on the other side I've got 2 little problems. I've got, these are the 2 points for this polygon here, and that one isn't actually on the polygon, so that I can solve pretty quickly. What I could do is I can say I'm going to select this line over here, and I'm going to first add this point, right? And now I'm going to select the point up there, and I want to move its data to there. Okay, that looks a lot better. And then we press, oh, notice how at the bottom it also shows me the area calculation of my new polygon. So now I press OK, and that's a lot nicer. So everything lines up correctly. Okay, there's one more technique you probably need to know about, which is for collecting buildings and other squared off parcels or other objects. It can be used for different sorts of techniques. Now, what I can do now is I want to put down a building. Now, what I do is I look at my building and I choose probably the longest wall, and I get my 2 GPS points not on the wall itself, but along the line of the wall. So for example, let's say I'm going to put down my building and I get my first point there and my second point something like there. Okay, so there's my first point, my first edge of a wall is someplace along there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say OK to that. Now remember, normally on a polygon you must have 3 points, but I only have 2. But we're going to add some more now. Okay, so there's my object. Now I'm going to select the graphics editing again. There we go. Make that a little bigger. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the line. There's that line. Now, for the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the end point. I'm going to measure from the end point to the first corner of my building. So let's say that's 20 meters. Alright, and there's 20 meters. Now I'm going to turn left, and I'll go 20 meters. And then I'll turn right, and I'll go 10 meters. And then I'll go left 5. And then I'll go right another 5, and then if I go left, and keep in mind the left and right is depending on the direction of flow. Now notice your arrow on there, that tells you where you're going. Okay, so now I'm going to go 25. Alright, so there's the outline of my building. Now what I need to do is I need to select the original endpoint, and I'll get rid of that, and then I'll select, well, I'm already selected that one, and then I'll get rid of that one, and there's my building. So now if I exit and then exit, there it is. So that's a very simple way that, again, using the 2 GPS points along the edge of one of the walls, so from there to there, I can then tape and measure my building in. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's quite useful once you get going.